Welcome to the Broken Port Podcast. This week we got a big show for you. They used to say to the moon, but this week it's more like into the ocean because everything's going down. Intel's sinking, Nvidia and Google both got antitrust issues going on. I might have some trust issues going on, but we can talk about that later. AMD, they've got some great new chips coming out. Maybe.
Cue the music. Mitchell, can't afford to eat. Can't afford anything, but my portfolio is in the basement. What do I do?
I don't know. I mean, you can maybe put a pan down there, stop the leak.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yes. That's not
pretty much all you can do for now. Pretty crazy week in the tech world. You know, Intel, obviously everybody's talking about Intel. They've had so many things going on, layoffs and stock going down, crazy stuff happening. I'm buying an I'm buying an AMD platform, so I'm gonna be just fine probably. But you know, lots of people having a bad time this week. What about you, Josh? You having a good week or what?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, no, I'm having a good week. I got this new camera rig, which it's basically a telescoping pole. Here, I'll even show you. So yeah, this is a company. They're Canadian. They're called Small Rig, but man, are their quality's just through the roof. I first bought this light because I wanted something a little pizzazz. That's what all the blue in the background is. It's just this like smaller than an iPhone 4. This thing blasts light.
Okay.
Even on like 1%. Like sometimes it's too much and you have to turn it down. And they're mainly camera gear guys. For like, you know, your shotgun mics and your pivot points for the shoe clamps and whatever. They have this neat little metal phone support for cameras. But this is what I picked up this week, and it's solid as a rock, and I could not be happier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it clamps right onto the desk, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah, and it fully telescopes and it swivels. It's got that swivel head. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Cool. Yeah, I've got to get a better solution for my current desk setup.
Yeah, I saw it. It's pretty janky. There are a number of books.
Stand. Yeah, I've got my power supply box, and then I have my tripod on top, and then my phone and my light on top of that. So, you know, it's quite the setup. It's not ideal.
You learned that over we'll call it the Zoom days. Because we don't want any other words. How's your tech week been?
It's been okay. Hasn't been anything super exciting. Actually, there is something exciting. My case that I want finally went on sale.
Yeah!
Bought it, and it's back ordered. But I got it on the sale price.
There you go. How much you get it off? If this is all for $15, I'm a punch in the face.
$40. $40 off.
That's
which, look, if I can save
good.
That much on each thing, then that'll buy me a component in my system.
And I'll buy you your RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So happy on that. So I'm getting the Fractal North XL black with the tinted glass.
Sick.
Coming soon. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have your stealth built soon. That's
and you know what? It went on sale, and it's a better sale than it was before. It was $35 before for the other XLs on sale. So mine went on sale for an even better sale than it's been before. I gotta win this week.
What do we got this week?
Okay, so story one. Josh has entitled this Google buys Boardwalk and Park Place.
Little background. I do write the doc, and I like to have a little humor with it.
So basically, Google has some antitrust stuff happening right now. This is nothing new. I mean, a lot of tech companies have something like this in the works. I think at most times, any kind of large tech company like Google or Microsoft or whatever, there's always something coming at them. But a lot happening with Google this week. Josh, what have you thought about Google's issues here?
Not good. They because like last week was like the Reddit stuff, right? And like the internet's slowly getting fractioned into like pieces, and like it's less connected. It's less of an internet, if you will. So it'll be not fun is a bad word, but like it'll be fun to see like where this goes.
Yeah, I find it always interesting to see like the comparison here of a company reaches a certain level of success and then it becomes a problem. Because I mean, and I don't even fall on one side or the other, because it's, yeah, once a company is that big or whatever, it comes with pros and cons to the consumer, right? In this article here on wired.com, it says, quote, Meta, MEHTA, ruled that Google, with about 90% market share, has monopoly power in both general search and general search text ads, end quote. So,
and I think they're in a little hot water for the Play Store as well. A jury of federal court in San Francisco ruled that Google's Play Store an illegal monopolist. So, yeah, big things happening in the Bay.
Yeah, and I think that's something we're going to continue to see for the next while when it comes to like the Play Store and the Apple App Store, because
there's a shakeup coming.
Yeah, it is something that when smartphones first came around, it's like, oh, there's an app store or whatever. Even though I remember I haven't had an Android in a little bit, but Samsung had their own app store as well.
As far as I'm concerned, that was kind of like garbage. It was
like it was nothing on there that I wanted.
Just like the weather and like a calculator or something.
It was like all like subpar apps for the most part that I just tried to avoid, but still it was there. There was another store. But if
like
you
there was
look at this,
one thing that was essential. It was like your like contact book or something. Like, why is this all tied in here?
Yeah,
this is an OS thing.
Yeah, and I think if you look at it from the other side, it's like, okay, well, yeah, phones they have their store and that's it or whatever. But if you look at, say, like a Windows PC, what if you could only buy apps, or you could only get apps on your computer from the Windows Store?
Yeah. Yep.
Your computer usage and what it's capable of and everything you would use it for would go way down.
Yeah, and like isn't like Epic and Apple like going at it too, and like
they went at it a while back.
These market
and
stores,
there was an issue.
Yeah, there's lots of issues with them. Yeah, for sure.
Because then other people like Xbox wants to have a store on the phones and stuff.
Yeah, they want their own mobile gaming store.
Yeah. So lots of monopoly kind of things happening within those ecosystems, and I think as time goes, it's gonna have to be more lenient. It made sense when it started and there was no kind of standard, but it's gonna have to probably change as time goes.
Empires eventually fall, Mitch. Speaking of empires,
and then they strike back.
Not yet. In another 100 years.
All right.
Nvidia, what they up to? They broke my trust, and I think they broke yours too.
So, for what they're doing, I mean, everybody knows that Nvidia is big in the AI space right now. They're doing all kinds of stuff there. But I don't know. I'm going to quote from this article here. So this is actually from Toronto citynews.ca. This article here, quote, rivals have accused Wall Street darling Nvidia of abusing its market dominance in selling chips that power artificial intelligence. And the U.S. Justice Department is now investigating those complaints. Technology news site, The Information reported, end quote. So Nvidia is abusing its market dominance. There's nobody that's really close to them right now. And again, when you have that level of market share or ability, then antitrust follows.
I don't know if you just touched on this, but in the article it says that Nvidia is the world's chip gatekeeper, and it adds that it bullied its way through prominent investment position. Such company deserves the most aggressive scrutiny that the Department of Justice can bring to bear. They're going for the throat here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any direct experience with this, but just from little things that you kind of hear as time goes, and even, I mean, watching some of Linus's stuff, he talks about kind of how Nvidia will treat the companies they work with, and so on.
Yeah. Because
And yeah,
Hardware on Box back in the day, they weren't giving them pieces to review because they had one bad review.
yeah,
I don't know if that was the 20 series or the 10 series or something, but like, you can't do that.
yeah. So when you do that kind of thing, eventually it's gonna come around,
Yeah. It says
and
the
you're not gonna
tech
get away with it.
giant briefly reached a market value of more than 3.3 trillion. The entire like crypto market is only worth like 1.2 trillion. This is the biggest stock in the world.
You know how many leather jackets Jensen can buy now?
You can buy a country made of leather.
Buy one every day.
I want fresh cowhide on nothing.
Never wear the same one twice.
Yeah, so like these companies, they're starting to get into legal trouble.
Yeah. And what a funny thing it is, eh? When you see you grow to be the biggest, but then problems follow.
Yeah.
And
What's that line from Batman?
yeah, it's Harvey Dent's line. He says you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That sounds like Nvidia, man.
It's pretty applicable. I mean, we don't have to get too bogged down in the villain, but I mean, it's
Well, yeah, but you will get problems.
they were much more the hero in people's eyes.
Yeah.
That could do no wrong because yeah, they make awesome GPUs.
Mm-hmm.
I love my Nvidia GPU.
But
then when you start getting a certain amount of power and you can start pushing that power around, then
just recently they said that the 50 series might be delayed because they're too busy pumping out these AI server GPUs.
Yeah.
Jensen just follows the money.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So I don't know. Sounds like a villain to me.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm probably gonna be buying a 40 series at some point then, because I don't want to sit and wait around forever for.
I know my plan was to wait to the 60 series and then buy a 50 series, but we'll see.
It's gonna take you a number of years at this point.
Yeah. All right. What do we have next, Mitchell?
Okay, so Josh has found this article.
This is dumb.
He's gonna fill me in a little bit on it because some of this stuff.
Mitchell's had one heck of a busy week, haven't you?
It's a bit of a busy week. Got a lot happening with work and family and all that fun stuff that everybody else deals with, but it's just all been a lot all at the same time. So anyway, Josh has found this interesting article.
So
again, I'm gonna bring out Josh's title for this. Lonely? You need a friend.
No, lonely? Do you need friend? Not a friend. Do you need friend?
Oh, lonely, you need friend.
Yes.
This is what Josh put.
So
Josh, let us know what this friend is.
Let me give you some backstory. Do you remember in the 1990s when Pokemon was just rampant and they had this little thing that wasn't a Game Boy, but it could fit in the palm of your hand? It was called a Tamagotchi. Essentially, these guys have made a $99 Tamagotchi that listens to your conversations and wants to help you in your life. But the thing is, it's ugly and nobody wants this. They have Siri on their phone. And this just brings to mind all these new wearable AI techs, like the what was it, the Jackrabbit, the Humane, whatever. Nobody wants a holographic thing that will tell you what the weather's going to be tomorrow. You have a phone.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, right? Is a lot of these things, it's all done by your phone, so you don't need another device for it. Unless this device is going to somehow replace your phone and make your life easier. But it's going to be very difficult to do that, I think. And any time soon. I would be happy to be proven wrong because I would love something that's somehow
Okay.
better than the smartphone, but it's like,
All right. Okay. Let's
I
get
don't know,
away from tech. Think about numbers right now, okay? Let me riff here. So he
get away from
raised,
tech.
just for a
Sometimes Josh
second,
forgets
no, the funding of
what
this
we're
tech.
called.
We're talking about the funding of this tech. Roll with me here. He raised 2.5 million, not nothing, for this company. Friend.com. How much do you think he spent of that 2.5?
I don't know, what did he spend?
1.8 million. He's got nothing to run his company with now. Anyway, so this is a dumbass thing by a dumbass company, and it's not gonna take off. This thing is basically an emotional toy. The article goes on to read, like, I don't know about you, but the market's not. It doesn't have legs for me.
It's always nice to see innovation and new inventions and stuff like that, but some of them are just not gonna work out.
What's the gun? The makeup gun?
Close your eyes, Marge. And now you're ready for a night on the town.
Now I have to get my cold cream gun.
Yeah, so just because you have an idea doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And this wearable AI tech is, for me, not a good idea. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy this. I don't see the use for it for myself.
In their defense, it's $99. You can.
I mean, maybe if you planned on being stranded somewhere and you needed somebody to talk to, maybe this could come in handy.
It's apparently for like introverts and whatnot, but like introverts don't want to talk to a friend already. Next story.
Okay, so next story, Intel, the big one. Intel
Kind of a tire
was
fire.
here, and they kind of went down here, and then they went there, and then they went there, and I guess they kind of came back over here, but that's only their stock, not anything else to do with what they're doing. So over here at Bob's Guide, the story here, so this is Marina Muka or Mauka. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name.
You do that often. They'll forgive you.
I will mispronounce most names, but I will do my best to get it right. But everybody mispronounces my last name for the most part, so we're all in the same club. Anyways, Intel cuts 15,000 jobs after 20% stock drop following the tech layoff trend. This is the title of this article. So most people, anyone that would probably watch this channel anyway, is probably aware of Intel's big cuts. 15,000 people they laid off. Huge amount of people out of work for that. And the stock price did drop, I think, 30%. It went back to, did you say it was 8%?
8.4, I think, something like that. But
Okay.
at time of recording, like what?
Okay. So not sure
Sorry,
where.
that was Nvidia actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
But
So
anyway.
Intel did do a big drop. It's a lot of things altogether too. That, I mean, anytime that a stock really drops, it can bounce back because when something drops that much, people will buy it because, oh, hey, Intel's low. People that are just looking at it objectively like that, and then that buying will bring it back up a bit, but then it can. That's not necessarily really the value of the company at that point.
The alarming thing about this for me is it's not just Intel. It's Intel, Dell, Cisco, Microsoft, SAP, whatever that is, eBay, Google, Alphabet. I thought they were the same company. Apparently not. They like to do things like that, by the way. But like Dell alone, 13,000 job cuts. Cisco, a huge company, 5%. Oh, 5%. What's that? Well, it has 85,000 employees. So there goes 5,000 employees right off the bat. Yeah, this is crazy. Microsoft axes 19,000 workers in its gaming division. Yeah, good luck there, Game Pass. So my discussion question is, hey, what about the gamers? What about the consumers? What about the computer enthusiasts? What does a crash like this usually lead to? More layoffs. And for me, more layoffs means less smart people around to innovate. Less innovation means more time for that innovation that's expected to occur. So this is a scary thing. Like everyone's gonna live, but like we're not gonna. This might affect the new generation of consoles, the new generation of chips. Nvidia's already delayed their 50 series apparently.
Yeah, lots of layoffs, lots of the negative things happening. I mean, there's always rises and falls in every industry, but this is a lot all grouped together.
That's the thing. It's all happening.
So I'm curious to see which way things go. We were kind of talking earlier, and I think you mentioned that, maybe we'll see consoles later than sooner. It could happen.
Or maybe we'll see this will lead to a mid-season refresh as opposed to the new console, kind of like, just stretch it out that little longer while we're still like gearing up for the PS6 and the Xbox Omega, whatever they want to call it. Can you forecast Xbox next title? The Xbox One X 360 One X.
Maybe they'll call it the Xbox.
I like Omega, actually. I think I was right off the rip.
It'll have nothing to do with any other name. If anything else has shown us. It's like, oh, they released the one? Okay, I guess they're starting up. They're going to have the 2 or whatever. No, the 360? Oh, I guess the next one would be the 720. Or maybe the 1080. Nope, nothing to do with that.
But there's a lot of here, like Dropbox lays off 16% of their staff. I think this was in 2023 to refocus on AI.
Yeah, so see, some of these layoffs will be because AI can now do certain tasks, right?
And I think it was it Microsoft or Amazon? They laid off almost, I think 15% of their sales team because of AI. I could be wrong.
Yeah, so because of that, this doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to come to a halt, or maybe consoles won't be pushed back. Yeah. Or maybe chip generations won't be pushed back, or maybe they will.
My point is, it could be scary.
Yeah, it could have weird consequences that affect the consumer. It'll have some sort of thing that affects the consumer, right? Of course. We don't know what it is. It could be a longer console generation, like everyone could all of a sudden be like Nintendo, who has the same console for like 47 years. Or
it could be a necklace around your neck that talks to you because he thinks that you're weird. You probably shouldn't overthink this situation, Josh.
So some uncertainty in the tech space. Something that I'm hoping. I hope that Intel does not disappear somehow. Because there's a lot of bad things all in a row for Intel right now.
That's not going to happen. They're too big. No?
I mean, just because a company's big doesn't mean it can't go away.
Hey, the 12, or sorry, the 13 and the 14, just stop making them. They're done. Unless you have a patch of the century, just forget about it. Just start pushing out whatever's next.
I forget who I saw that was talking about it today, but the Xbox with the 360. The 360 was like their most successful generation, right? Everyone had the 360. That was like the
really good
Xbox. However, the 360 had the red ring of death, where Xbox had to replace a whole bunch of consoles for free. They replaced mine. It was the best experience ever. I forgot you had
to deal with that.
Yeah, but it was the simplest thing. So they sent me the box. I put it in the box. I sent it to them, and they sent me a new one. and the whole thing took like a week. They sent me the box. I sent the Xbox, and they sent me a new Xbox.
Did you? Sorry, I was not on the 360 at this point. Did they? I was more a PS5 guy. PS3 guy. Did you keep your hard drive? Because it had like a detachable hard drive, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then you just sent the
kept
unit.
the hard drive, and you just sent in the
okay.
the console. Yeah, because it was just like a button on top. And you took the hard drive off.
Sounds like a painless experience.
So for the consumer, Microsoft or Xbox, they did the right thing for the 360 when they had the red ring of death. And it was, in my experience, it was a simple thing. It was like a week, and it was really well done, really well organized. This is Intel's red ring of death right now.
Yeah.
This is their...
Very important to handle this well.
It's very important to handle this well. They didn't start handling it well from the beginning. I think they, seems like they tried to duck it or get around it or whatever.
The returns have been like abysmal, apparently. The RMA, is it called?
Yeah, RMAs, yeah.
Apparently, like, you have to like apply like 5 or 6 times to like even get noticed.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to not have to replace all these CPUs, but they're probably going to have to. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of issues coming their way.
So what does Intel need to worry about?
So either way, Intel is going to lose something. They've already lost some stuff.
There's only one other company.
Their stock price has gone down, and they laid off a bunch of people, but that is, at the end of the day, that's going to put more money in Intel's pocket, not having to pay 15,000 people. But what they're doing right now, watch out, don't hit your mic stand in the middle of a podcast. Anyways, what they're doing right now is gonna have to cost them some kind of money in some way. So they're trying these patches. They're trying everything they can right now not to replace all these CPUs, because they tried to avoid the issue. I think they did an update already, and I don't know if it worked or whatever.
I think an update made it marginally better from what my limited knowledge is, but we're still waiting on like the patch to fix it.
Yeah, and they have another, so they have that patch coming soon. I think it's ready or something. I've heard about it now, and they're going to be trying it. So they're going to try that out. However, most of the CPUs that have had the issue, they've been killed from it. They can't just update now.
Yeah.
So either way, Intel is either going to have to replace CPUs and take the hit on the money that they lose on replacing these chips, or the company overall is going to take a bigger hit because of all that. They're going to get lawsuits, and all these kinds of things are going to come their way. So Intel is going to have a rough rest of the year, and probably not the best year next year as well. I don't know how their next gen chips are going to be. Hopefully, for Intel's sake, they're good, because I don't want Intel to go away. Even if I never buy an Intel chip, there needs to be competition. Just like, we don't have to get off on this tangent, but I don't want Xbox to go away. I like Xbox and PlayStation, but there's all this talk of Xbox might not make consoles, or will Xbox just like close up at some point or whatever. You can't have one dominant force in an industry like that. It's not going to be good for the consumers at the end of the day.
Resurgency of Sega. So when I said, what does Intel have to worry about, that was a hint of subtlety to the next segue to our next topic is AMD. That's what they got to worry about, because there's only one company that needs to handle this situation better than Intel. That's AMD.
Yeah, so AMD, now, obviously AMD had all of what they're doing already in place before Intel started having these issues, right? All their manufacturing, all of their release dates, and all these things. And AMD did push back the release of the 9000 series by a couple weeks. So tomorrow, so from the day that we're filming this, the day after today, they will actually be hitting the market. The 9700X and the 9600X will be hitting the market already. I'm sure that you've seen a lot of the other YouTube channels already review this and so on.
Because you have more experience with the chart. Like, you watch them all. I can't do chart graphs anymore. I tried, I just can't. But what I got was like, hey, oh, because all the thumbnails that I saw was it's a Ryzen. It's not Intel. It won't burn your house down. So, what'd you learn?
Okay, so for where AMD is at with these new chips, they're not bad. Okay,
They're just not the innovation everyone was expecting.
they're not the jump like that everybody would want. They're more of a like Intel 12 to 13 difference. They're better, but they're not like wow.
Yeah.
But
these
nice
aren't the
thing
these aren't the X3Ds either, though.
they're not the X3Ds. So see something with that too. Some of these charts and the different things that come out, I always find it interesting how some of these comparisons are made.
It's like
So
incomplete
running
data.
what's that?
It's like incomplete data because you can't compare to the X3Ds. It's
Yeah,
like
but
this graph will continue.
So if you're comparing this to the X3Ds, I mean, the 9700X runs up against the 7800 X3D, and they're pretty close in everything. Most of the time, I believe, so in pretty much everything productivity-wise, non-gaming, the 9700X pretty much beats out the 7800 X3D a little bit. Some games, it's better than the 7800 X3D. And an interesting thing is that it is a 65-watt chip.
What?
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a 110er.
65-watt chip. So they made it really fuel efficient. No. So
electricity is a fuel. So
yeah,
there's that.
That's true. So this is running like a Ryzen 5 would. It's running 65 watts. Like a comparable Intel chip, no way. A comparable Intel chip would run triple this power. So for the efficiency, for what it does for that amount of power, is really good. It's not like a crazy step forward in innovation.
Okay.
But it is a good chip, I think.
Dummy question here. I'm Mr. Dumbo. You just said the 97X compares to the previous generation's X3D. Now, that previous, to your best of your knowledge, that previous X3D, what wattage was that chip?
I think it was 104, 105.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they're doing more with less.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, don't quote me on the number exactly, but it's over 100.
Yeah.
And now it's a 65-watt chip. So I think from looking at all the reviewers, I think their biggest thing is like, this is not a huge step forward. However, as a consumer, if you're looking to buy a chip, I think that for the price that this is coming out at, I think it's pretty good.
Do we have the pricing yet?
It's coming out, I think, $350, approximately $350 US.
Yeah, but like
for the 9700.
Yeah, the 9700, but like the X3Ds last year were like what, 450 or something like that.
Yeah, so they're less than the X3D.
Less wattage, so like less power concerns.
Less power concerns, less
more
heat.
Performance.
Yeah, so it kind of trades blows with the 7800 X3D. And the 7800 X3D.
I think
overall will be a little bit more optimized for gaming.
Yeah,
of course, because it's an X3D. But I think it's a solid chip. If you're looking to build a system, like it's.
I think this is my next chip.
It's not going to be a.
I think this is my next chip.
Yeah. I think it's a solid chip from what I've seen so far. You know,
if it does,
again, it's not even out yet.
X3D is like forget today or this year happened. If I could have a Ryzen 7000 series X3D, I'd be amazingly ecstatic. That's the goal as a gamer or whatever have you, a computer enthusiast, to get that performance and then some on a chip that requires less power, less cooling, and does a little bit more at a lower price, it's a no-brainer. This is actually a good thing.
I think for a couple of guys like
These
us,
reviewers,
the 9700X is awesome.
They don't have like contentment in their mindset. It's all like, no, it's not pushed to the max. No, we need more frames. Because 900 freaking frames on friggin' Roblox or friggin' what's that car game there?
Forza?
No, the stupid soccer car.
Oh, Rocket League?
Yeah. I think Linus said they got like 850 frames per second on Rocket League.
Yeah.
Now,
in
Rocket
1080p.
League's not a hard game to run, but like still, that's like warp speed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're complaining that it's not a big enough jump.
Yeah.
What about me? I don't have like $8,000 to drop in my next system. This will do just fine. And in a year from now, it'll be down another $50.
Yeah, so I got my motherboard, right? Last week.
Dude, I get this chip.
And I'm now, so this chip releases tomorrow. I'm going to see exactly what the Canadian price is when it comes out and compare the sale price of the X3D, and I'm in between those two chips.
Oh, you're thinking 7000 X3D.
Yeah. So I'm going to either do the 7800 X3D or I'm going to try out this 9700X. Now,
do you think those go on sale like right away just to like get rid of stock?
I don't know, but we'll see. I also have like the 7800 X3D. It's like it kind of had some issues at the beginning, but now things have been sorted out and it's good and it seems like it's going to be solid. This is a new chip. Now it's the second generation though of Zen 5. So that also aids in fixing problems and so forth. So I don't know. Whatever chip is going to be reliable, get what I need to do done, and be a fair price. That's what I'm going to look for. So I think I'll be happy with either one of these chips. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Keep you updated on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably like a $420 Canadian kind of something in that ballpark. Anyway, moving on. This is the part where I get my curiosity fulfilled. Mitchell, what are some things, because you bought your motherboard last week, and I'm not saying I'm buying one anytime soon, but like I'm getting the FOMO. Maybe I do. So what are some things that I need to keep in mind in purchasing my next motherboard?
Well, all you need is this right here.
ROG. That's a solid ROG. So much reflective material. Does the reflective material make it go faster?
It does.
Nice.
It actually, the box matters even more than the motherboard. The more ink on the box, the better the motherboard. That's just basic technical knowledge.
It's not good for the
I wouldn't expect you to understand, but
it's
okay.
not
So
good.
when you're looking for a motherboard, there's so many around, and you've got the different chipsets, you've got I/O, you've got all these different things. So at the end of the day, you don't want to get too bogged down in numbers and like flashiness or whatever, but also depends on the build you're doing. You might, if you have a build that you just want the flashiest cool looking thing because you want it to be like something that your friends come over, that especially your friends that don't know anything about PCs, and be like, hey, look at this. They'll be like, wow, that must be amazing. And maybe it's like a Ryzen 3 with a 40 or with like a 1660 in it or something.
But man, does it play Rocket League and Minecraft at lightning speeds?
Look at that RGB, right? So depends on what you want. Everybody wants something different, and you have to just get what makes you happy. And that's one of the baselines for what motherboards you get. You don't need to overspend. You don't need to get the MSI Godlike or whatever that costs like $1,600. Slightly unnecessary, okay?
Okay. How about we approach this where I'll be like, what's the deal with this? and then you just like give me your best like 30-second take.
Okay.
What's the deal with these motherboards that have like metal armor on them? There's like shields for days.
So every motherboard's going to have a different kind of look, different heat sinks and whatever. At the end of the day, you don't need to overspend on the looks of the motherboard. Some of them are a good price and look pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to look at what you need your motherboard to do. Most people, it's different, or almost everybody, they're going to look for something else specifically, right? So think about your IO. Okay, do you have a lot of things you plug in? A lot of USB things? Do they need to charge? Do you have a webcam? Do you have, you're going to have a mouse and keyboard. Are you plugging in a USB interface?
Mm.
Are you plugging in external drives? Do you need a lot of USBs? And what kind of USBs? Do you need regular, like, just keyboard and mouse USB, which can be a slower speed, or do you want a high speed USB to charge and to run higher performance items?
Okay.
So something to look at first is your IO, because if you get something that you like but doesn't have a good IO, then you're gonna have to buy an add-on card for USB ports. Well, do you need to spend that extra after, or do you want to just figure that into the price of your motherboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So IO is one big part.
Okay, so I said 30-second take, and you took forever. So this kills this segment. Now, your motherboard choice depends a lot on what your chip is capable of, right? And what speeds it's capable of, and how many drives it can run at the speeds that are specified. So what's the point of me getting a Ryzen 3 37, not even X, just a 3700, and popping it into the best MSI? It's got 8 different flipping M.2s. It's Zen like 18 capable. Like, there's a certain aspect of like know your lane, right?
Yeah. And something with a motherboard purchase, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to spend too much. You have to be honest with yourself.
Some of them are $70, and some of them are $1,700.
Yeah.
What's in there? Gold?
So if you want the most basic one, if it's like, hey, I want something that's just gonna play my games, I've got like an average graphics card, average CPU, and I just need one M.2 drive, then yeah, you can get like the entry level, like gigabyte gaming motherboard, and you'll be happy. It's gonna run everything. It's gonna be just fine. But if you want to have, say, multiple M.2 drives, okay, well then you're gonna have the full size ATX board. You're gonna have you can go with, say, like for AMD, like the B650E, or most of the B650 boards, they've got at least 2, usually 3 M.2 drives.
Because that's the thing I would stress as a Dumbo. I would stress M.2s are so much easier to cable manage than a SSD, right?
Yeah, and now, especially if you're gonna buy a new system,
Dude,
if you're planning to have multiple drives,
think ahead.
It's a better price to get M.2s.
Because maybe you don't get all your drives all at once. Yeah. Maybe it takes you a year to pick up a drive on sale, and you're like, oh, 4 terabyte for $180. Sweet. 180 bucks.
$180.
$180. $182.
Ooh, he card read good. So,
but like,
Mr.
future proof is what I'm saying. Like, not to the max, but give yourself a little room. And there's nothing wrong. I've got 2 SSDs in my system, and they still run games flawlessly. There's nothing wrong with them. But if you shake my computer, the back is probably going to fall off because I'm not good at the cable management. And M.2s are just click, pop, screw.
So if you have a bunch of old like SATA SSDs or hard drives even that you want to use, double check, because most motherboards now will have only like 4 SATA slots for the data plugs. So take a look at that. And sometimes when you're using all of your M.2 slots, it'll deactivate some of those ports as well. So that's something to keep in mind, is what you have. If it's like, hey, I have all these old SSDs that still work just fine that I want to plug in with a SATA cable, then take a look at that. I got the B650 instead of the X670 because I'm not going to overclock it.
Yeah.
The X670 will help you with overclocking for sure, but I don't plan to overclock mine. And again, that's me being honest with myself.
Does
I could have spent.
Does that include XMP kind of like overclocks?
No, that just this has to do with the CPU.
Yeah. Okay.
So the XMP for your RAM, you'll be able to do that whether it's a B650, B650E, X670.
You can do that crap with a $70 board.
Yeah, you can. Okay. You can do that with pretty much any board.
Okay, cool.
Maybe honestly, I don't know if there's some lower end ones that don't do it. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure, but any of the average
Commodore 64 ain't doing it.
Any of the average to high level boards, whether it's Intel or AMD, you're going to be able to turn that on. So don't worry about that for your RAM. It's more overclocking the CPU. Again, I'm not going to overclock mine, so I got this beautiful board and I saved myself like $140 by not getting the X670 version of the ROG Strix.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with what I got here. Again,
best bang for your buck.
Be honest with yourself for what you're going to do. Get something that you're going to be excited to have. But
hey, if you're a billionaire, buy the parts with the most dollars attached to them.
Yeah, just be like, hey, I like how that looks and that does what I want, so I'll get it. Just get what you're happy with at the end of the day, but also don't be scared to say get like a B650 board and it's like, oh, this isn't going to run my stuff. No, it fully is going to run it really well. This is not the creator's time, but PC Builder, Jason over there, really, really good for his knowledge on motherboards and
it's kind of like not having a power supply almost. It's an underrated part. It's not the sexiest, like blingiest part out there, and I think it could be solved with some RGB strips like embedded in the PCB. Make it go fast, you know? All right. I have to cut you off. We're at 53 minutes pre-edit.
Yeah, I can talk about motherboards for a long time.
Really
so if you want to hear more about motherboards, we can talk about them more in the future. Let us know what you think about that.
Mitch will do a motherboard 4-hour live stream. He just
I would fully do that.
He's just walking around Canada Computers with a GoPro. You know, this one's good because it got that PCB. Create a corner. Who you got?
Okay, so this week I would like to mention Network Chuck.
Oh, he's so good.
Fantastic channel.
His production values are through the roof.
Yeah. One of my favorite creators. One of the
I learned a little bit of Java with him.
What's that?
I learned a little bit of Java. He does this like coffee barista, like, hey, welcome, and it'll be like, welcome to what would you like? Here's the menu, and then you type in the thing. Cool, that'll be blah blah blah. And it was neat that I was following along what he was doing, and it was working.
Yeah,
like I didn't have any interest other than the first like video, but for those that have interest.
Yeah, so Network Chuck's really awesome.
He's the guy.
Okay, so Network Chuck, really good when it comes to educational stuff. I've learned all kinds of different topics from him, and to be honest, the level of knowledge and the kinds of courses that Chuck provides for free on YouTube are equivalent to many college courses.
High value.
Yeah, high value, good quality, easy to follow. So if you're looking to learn anything about tech, could be, you know, how to work with PowerShell or Linux or a Raspberry Pi project or SQL or Cisco, any of these different things.
Honestly, if like
he has a course.
If you're tempted to like get into computer science, like just spend a night binging him.
Well, certain words are hard to say,
and you'll know. because
Oh yeah.
the way he like, it's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another way to like be articulate, like giving the knowledge out, and he does it in such a simple way.
Yeah. Chuck makes it easy to follow, interesting, fun. It just, he would be the college instructor that everybody loved and wanted to have. And he's made this and does a great job with it. So if you've never checked out Network Chuck,
You buy his course?
check him out. Fantastic.
You shilling courses over here. Just a shill. Anyway, so for me, I have Spawnwave. He's a good guy. He's really informative. He does like a news like cast every single day.
Yeah,
and then
really good.
He's got his like usual like tech, like 10 minutes and you're out kind of thing. But what I want to highlight is this guy's at like 772K subs. Come on, guys. Let's get him to 800. Let's do this. Because once he gets to 800, oh, you better believe those videos be banging trying to get that million. Anyway, we love you, Spawnwave.
yeah.
We love you, Network Chuck. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for everything you do.
And you know what? We're going to unplug this port and unplug this podcast for now. See you next week. And as always, stay broken.
Go break something.